Today we're going to conclude our thoughts on David's statement that the Lord is his portion. We've talked about how that the Lord is our portion through the Word of God. And we must never forget God's law. For David made the statement in Psalm 119, verses 61 and 62, "The cords of the wicked have encircled me, but I have not forgotten your law. At midnight I shall rise to give thanks to you because of your righteous ordinances." And then in verse 64, "The earth is full of your loving kindness, O Lord. Teach me your statutes." Even when we suffer at the hands of the wicked, we must remember God's law. Peter wrote, "But even if you should suffer for the sake of righteousness, you are blessed, and do not fear their intimidation, and do not be troubled. But sanctify Christ as Lord in your hearts, always being ready to make a defense to everyone who asks you to give an account for the hope that is in you." 1 Peter 3, verses 14 and 15. In the face of suffering, we must be ready to answer. And this necessarily means we must remember God's law. Even while it is night, we should remember God's ordinances and judgments. This is not the only time that David mentioned the night as a time to remember God. We can do this, but only if we have God's laws in our mind and written on our hearts. We will not give thanks to God or meditate upon Him in the night if we've forgotten His Word. We need to reflect upon the blessings in creation as we observe that the earth is full of His loving kindness. God's providential care in creation reminds us to trust Him and seek His kingdom. But also, in order for the Lord to be our portion, then we must surround ourselves with God-fearing people. In verse 63, David said, "I am a companion of all those who fear you and of those who keep your precepts." The Lord is my portion. Yet this is not just for one person. David's not saying the Lord is only my portion. This is for all who will follow Him. Paul told Timothy, "In the future there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me on that day. And not only to me, but to all those who love my appearing." 2 Timothy 4 and verse 8. Friends, what this means is that we are in this together. If we notice what Paul wrote to the brethren at Philippi, he said, "Only conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that when I come and see you or remain absent, I will hear of you that you are standing firm in one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel." Christians are to be of one spirit, one mind, and striving together. As much as possible, we should surround ourselves with godly people. This means that we take advantage of every opportunity that we have to assemble with the church. Hence, the Hebrew writers entreaty not to forsake the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but encouraging one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. Hebrews 10:25. It also means that we will spend time with Christians outside of the assembly, from house to house, so that we have more opportunities to encourage one another. And just as we should strive to surround ourselves with God-fearing people, we must also try to limit the corrupt influence of wicked people. Paul said, "Do not be bound together with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness and lawlessness, or what fellowship has light with darkness?" This comes from 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 14. In his first letter to the church at Corinth, he warned the brethren, "Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals." 1 Corinthians 15:33. The more people that we have in our lives that will influence us for good, and the less people who will influence us for evil, the better chance we will have for obtaining God's promise. Friends, for the faithful, the Lord is our portion. We have received His grace and look forward to realizing our hope. We seek His favor through His Word, and we must do so urgently, mindfully, and together. Friends, we thank you for joining us for our program today, and have a blessed day.